Just a little plaything. Let me tell you something. The devil's playing the keeps. So she's on her way to a witch's coven to give birth to her baby and to sacrifice it to Satan. She and her girlfriend, who was also pregnant, they're on their way to make this happen. And the car broke down in a 2-hour drive between Belcourt, the Turtle Mountain Indian Reservation, in Minot, North Dakota. She hitchhiked back to the reservation. Her girlfriend went on into town. A Christian lady picked her up. They got to the hospital, and she had a stillborn. And she began to cry, and she told me this story. Once I got there, my wife and I took our presence there, and she was saying, "Steve, that lady told me what Jesus did at the cross for me." And I said, "What I planned was so horrible. How can he forgive me?" And that lady said that if you declare there's something you did that Jesus can't forgive you of, that what you're actually saying is Jesus dying on the cross was not enough. You have to do something more gruesome than that to save me from my sin. Nothing was more gruesome than that death on a cross. And I read a medical excerpt about what actually happened. And when they nailed him to the cross, they say they nailed him in the hand, but remember those times they didn't say you had a hand and a wrist. They considered all of this your hand, and right here is a series of bones. The nail did not go right into his hands because the weight of his body would rip that nail right through his skin. The nail went in those series of bones right there that anchored him to that cross. I don't know, anybody here have a toothache before? You have a toothache before and something cold or squeak in that toothache? And the reality is that nail went right through the nerve, the excruciating pain. And the only way he could breathe, the nail through his ankles, the only way he could breathe was to push up, to take the pressure off of his hands, to release the pain so he could breathe. And when he pushed up, that wasn't a smooth cross. That was a rugged tree. That was a rugged cross. And when he pushed up, his back that had been shredded by that whip, his back, that skin, that flesh rubbed against the cross. And fluid and blood began to fill his lungs. And that's why they said when they took that spear and rammed it between his third and fourth rib into his heart, and they said water and blood came out because that fluid was in his lungs. Technically, Jesus died by suffocation. His lungs filled up with all of that fluid. Similar cause of death that the young man in Florida A&M and the band just recently was killed. He was murdered because through that initiation, that hazing, they beat on him so bad, his body parts, that white fluid built up and he suffocated. And that's the death that Jesus had. And I said, how can you allow your son to do that? Because I know that the wages of sin is what? Anybody know? The wages of sin is what? We deserve death for all the times we've broken God's heart. And in my sanctified mind, I can imagine Jesus saying, okay, they deserve, God saying, okay, they deserve death, and here comes wrath. I'm giving them for the wages of sin is death. Here comes my wrath on you. And I can see Jesus saying, Daddy, no, don't do it, Daddy. What, son? Put their punishment on me, son. Do you understand what you're saying, Daddy? Put their punishment on me. The wages of sin is you're my only son. The wages of sin is that, Daddy, no. Put their punishment on me. Do you know what that means, son? They're going to nail you to a tree, Daddy. Put their punishment on me. Son, they're going to put a spear into your side, Daddy. Put their punishment on me. Son, they're going to put a crown of thorns on your head, Daddy. Put their punishment on me. Why, son? Because I love them so much. I love them so much. I want them to be more than conquerors. And I didn't know how powerful that love was that this suffering Jesus went through. I guess until my first daughter was born, I was so excited. Whew. My first daughter was born. I remember I was there in the hospital. You know, I got a little football background, so I was helping my wife in the labor delivery process. So we're saying things like this. Okay, Karen, you want to be a mom? Push, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. He, who? He, who? Breathe, push. My wife said, Steve. I said, yes, honey. She said, I'll pick you up by the skin on your forehead. I'm sorry, I got carried away. Focal point. You want a popsicle? But then it happened. A baby human. My wife just worked her on out. I caught her. No, I'm just kidding. I dropped her the first time. Sorry. No, I'm kidding. That little stringy thing comes. Whoa! That's bad. Don't tell my daughter. But then I held my daughter, Nicole, for the first time. Her head was in my hand, and her feet were in my mouth at the same time. I will love you, dear Nicole, till the day we grow. Can you walk 1,000 miles to hear your voice and see your smile? And when this life is done, although I've never known a sun, still my joy is more than complete, since the Lord gave you to me.
Woo! I just. That's how we have to sing them up.
Tiny kisses on. No, I'm just kidding. I held my daughter for the first time, and let me tell you something. We gonna find you. And let me tell you, if 10 men would have walked up in the hospital and said, we're taking your daughter. Oh, no, he didn't. I might not get all of them, but I'm going to take about 7 or 8 of them out of here. They won't take my daughter. Oh, no. Now, I thought about something. Mary had no idea when she held baby Jesus for the first time that he would be taken away. Mary had no idea when she wiped that tiny brow that would be pierced by a crown of thorns. And I began to understand the magnitude of God allowing His only Son to become sin on a cross. And whenever you read the Bible, it's always Jesus saying, they say, why you did that? Oh, my father hasn't said it. I'm not going to say it. I've seen my father do it. I would do it. My daddy always said, where are you going? Early in the morning. Going to be with my dad. Going to be with my father. I'm in the Father. And for the first time, he looked to his dad. His dad couldn't even look at him because he was sin. And Jesus says, why have you forsaken me? He suffered that you might have a chance to be more than a conqueror. We're more than conquerors because of who? Because of Jesus, the loving Jesus, the suffering Jesus, and the all-powerful Jesus. He's all-powerful. Oh, I wish I could have been there. Ephesians chapter 4. It talks about how after he's crucified, he had to be glorified, and he ascended, but he also descended to the lower parts. I can just imagine Jesus walking up inside of hell. They down there partying. We killed Jesus. Hey, there's some beers and pretzels. We killed. Hey, we killed Jesus. We killed. And Jesus knocked on the door. Who is it? Looks like Jesus. It can't be Jesus. It looks like Jesus. And they're running. Who is it? They're running around. Go get Lucifer. Go get who is Jesus? I can see Jesus kicking the door down. Boom, 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 boom. Go get Lucy.
Oh, God.
I can see Jesus grabbing the devil by the throat. Boom! Boom!
I can see that.
Putting his foot on his neck. Boom! Don't you know who my daddy is? I'll bust you in the head. Don't look at me. I said don't look at me. I'll bust you right in the mouth. Don't. What? I can see him snatch the keys to death and hell. Give me the keys to death and hell. I will bust you. I said don't look at me.
I'd love to watch that.
Only thing I want you to see is my foot on your neck.
He gave a straight face.
Can I keep it real with y'all?
Yep.
I'm at this event, you know, I'm doing this retreat thing all week long, speaking twice a day, 7 days a week. It wore me out. The last day, the night before the last day, this kid says, Mr. Steve, I said, can you tell me again about how Jesus is Lord? Okay, I told you about his. He said, I want Jesus in my heart. Boom, we prayed the prayer. Boom. He's a new creation. The next day, they called me up before the last talk. See, we need you in the infirmary. Why? The kid, Craig, yeah, he's in the infirmary. They need you right away. I go over there to the infirmary. That kid from the night before, he has 3 youth ministers holding him down right here. 3 youth ministers holding this arm. He was white as a sheet, pale, foaming at the mouth. Let me ask you a question. Was I scared? Why not? Because I had on, boom, some of them shoes. I had on some of them shoes that the all-powerful one gave me. The all-powerful one to give anyone his